You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Another episode of the Red Moon Podcast on a new night, everybody. That's right, Tuesday nights now, live at 9 p.m., not Thursdays. That was our old-time slot. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Danica Patrick.
Danica's joining us for the first time ever in the Red Moon Studios.
She's changed a lot.
Quite a bit, I would say. You don't look anything like her.
She's had some work.
She's had some work. I truthfully don't know if Aaron Rodgers would continue dating Danica if she looked like you.
You don't know how deep his love runs.
Well, thank God, I was trying to think of what car she drove in NASCAR. What was her
number?
Not her number. What was I don't know what the model was.
I don't either.
But it was going to be a terrible joke.
I'm not a
anyway.
NASCAR person.
I'm not either. So great to be with you all on a Tuesday night.
Say we should move on.
We should.
It is great to be here on Tuesday.
That's right. How's it feel, guys?
It feels the same as Thursday.
It does.
I don't think it does. It feels earlier.
Feels earlier?
Yeah.
Well, it is going to be earlier for headlines,
Yeah.
so I hope to God that news hits on Mondays. I'll just say that. Or even late breaking on a Monday.
if we
or
get-
I like
Tuesday.
it better, though, because if
know?
we see a film over the weekend that they
True.
open, we can get the review out a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
That's true.
And plus, if there's stuff happening over the weekend, we can comment on it faster. So,
Yeah.
That's true.
granted, if something happens on a Wednesday, we're screwed until
Yeah.
Tuesday. But you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that's what Twitter and Facebook are for. We
Tweeters.
got all our social out there.
for the tweeters.
One might even say that's what a website's for.
Yeah.
But
Hashtag one day.
wait, what about hashtag tonight?
Well, what
Oh,
about
yeah?
it?
What about hashtag tonight for a website?
I don't know.
Would you all be comfortable with that?
I mean, that would be awesome.
What if I
Yeah.
said that the website was live right now?
Is it really?
I don't know.
It is live right now.
I don't believe you.
Our
crap.
website
I'm
is
gonna look it
live.
up.
I am too.
You look at redmoonproductions.com. Our live site, our live
Wow.
website,
Our livestock.
our livestock's going up. I'm telling you, we're getting cows, we're getting pigs, everything's going up. Now, here's the thing. I would look at it on a browser on a computer.
Hey, no, but there it is.
But it is up.
It is up.
There
Our-
it
our
is.
website,
Our live
it
feed
says
is
live.
right there on it.
Is
Yeah.
right there.
Actually, I mean,
I'm
right
telling
now
you.
it's running pretty decent on the
Yeah.
iPad.
But if
Yeah,
you all
I
are
like
out
it.
there, check out redmoonproductions.com.
Margaret's
Website's live.
Monsters.
Wow.
It's
That's
up
cool,
there.
cool.
All
I
of
mean,
our old films,
This
classics.
has been like 2 years in the making.
in the
Oh
making.
man,
I'm
I like
telling
it.
you.
I like
It's been a while, guys.
Wow.
Our website is finally up and ready to go.
I tell you what,
RM
you
reviews,
never cease
social?
to amaze me.
I just thought, hey,
I know.
if we're switching to a new night, why not just do
So
something
what
else?
you're saying is you
Yeah, we
haven't
should
been
have
just
switched a long time ago. That's all I can say.
you're saying you haven't been sitting around doing nothing then. Good,
No,
good
no,
for
I've-
you.
I've been kind of busy. It's been a lot of work.
I even see solid years on here. Wow. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
very first
don't,
one, guys.
Don't check that out first.
I'm telling you. But it goes all the way back to the beginning. That is right.
Oh man, yeah. this
all
is
our old
awesome.
classics, ITCO on there. For anybody who doesn't know, they've got some descriptions on the website. Of course, you could check it out. You can always email us too
Margaret's Monsters
at
Cool,
RMPodcast
cool.
at redmoonproductions.com if you have any questions about the website. Again, follow us on all of our social, Twitter, Facebook, Insta.
I like the.
all
This
of
is
them.
fantastic.
I pulled up
Telling
Margaret's
ya.
Monsters. I like the episode layout and the description, and I mean that's
And,
yeah.
and that's another
That's
first.
awesome.
Honestly,
If you
Yeah.
haven't listened
Feature
to Margaret's
link.
Monsters, you need to get on the website now, and you need to. Well, wait till the show's over.
yeah.
And listen
Watch
to
us
it.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to give it a listen. 'cause
There's
it
now
is
a feature.
spectacular.
There's now a feature length option on the website.
that's right, guys.
That's awesome.
So if you
can listen
want-
to the whole thing in one bout.
Exactly.
Nice.
If you don't want to listen to it episodically, the feature-length version of Margaret's Monsters, just a little over 2 hours long.
Yeah, I see
you can
that.
listen to it from start to finish on your long
See,
drive into
we
work
could have made that into a movie.
or sitting by a fire,
Yep.
Yeah.
Whichever way you want to enjoy it.
I am impressed.
Wow.
There you go, guys. RedMoonProductions.com.
Good.
It's now
Finally.
live.
Good on
Finally.
you.
It's still lots of work to be done, but
Yeah,
now
but
it's an
still.
evolution.
At least it's there.
Exactly.
No more
Oh,
under
wait,
construction.
I
That's
see
right.
this. RM
Uh-oh.
reviews Sonic the Hedgehog. That's
Oh,
kinda-
wait.
Oh, wait,
Is-
let me go back.
oh,
Let me
yeah.
go back. Come back.
Our review is up even of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I got overexcited.
He's clicking around
I
too
clicked
much.
too much.
That's right. Sonic the Hedgehog. Our review is now up on our website. You can listen to it
There-
before.
there it goes.
There it is.
There
Oh,
it
it
goes.
just
It's come back
it did
around.
again. You could.
It's okay, Keith.
I
It's
want
all
it. I want everybody to see
Margaret's
it.
Monsters. Oh, he just clicked on that.
I'm
too.
trying to
Sure.
click the arrow.
Nathan
You'll
will,
just have to get on and see for yourself.
Nathan will appreciate.
It is
that
a
you
little
used
touchy.
his artwork.
It is a little touchy
That's
on the.
not
Oh
great.
wait,
That's
hold on.
great.
I can get it now. It's
Oh,
about to come
gosh.
up. Ready?
Oh,
Ready?
gosh.
Bam! There.
Boom! Sonic the Hedgehog review right now. In fact, I guess
It is
because
a
it's
little
live
touchy on the iPad.
on the website, we should probably go ahead and jump to our
Let's
review.
do that before
Yeah,
they listen
yeah.
to that instead.
And before they click off.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Exactly.
here is our review of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Lace up your sneakers and grab as many rings as you can. The long-awaited Sonic the Hedgehog film has finally arrived. With a rocky production, Paramount's Sonic the Hedgehog faced plenty of controversy before the film ever released. The original trailer for the film depicted a CGI Sonic that looked like the love child of Disney's Stitch and Taylor Swift in Cats, failing both at capturing the essence of the character and making a more realistic version for screen. After tons of fan backlash, the studio went back to the drawing board, and the VFX team for the film changed the design, garnering the studio praise for listening to its fans. However, there is more to a film than one CGI character. Was Paramount's decision to change Sonic enough to save the film, or was it always doomed to be a fail? I have to admit that even with Sonic's redesign, I had little hope for this film. The trailer still didn't do much to convince me those involved understood the character. The plot seemed silly, and the acting terrible. The film simply looked like another video game adapted to film failure. Boy, was I wrong. While the film ultimately does have its share of problems, it is way more entertaining than I would have believed possible. It's smart, funny, and true to the character while packing in a decent amount of heart. Starring the Blue Blur himself, Sonic the Hedgehog, voiced in the film by Ben Schwartz, the movie serves as a sort of origin story for Sonic and his nemesis Dr. Robotnik, aka Eggman, played by Jim Carrey. Alongside Sonic, who is on the run from those who would use his powers for evil, is Tom Wachowski, portrayed by James Marsden. Tom finds Sonic hiding out in his shed and discovers he's a creature from another world, a la E.T. the extraterrestrial. Sonic has spent his life on the run, hiding himself and his abilities with the aid of his golden rings that have the power to open a portal to any destination the user thinks of. It seems rather silly, but the plot device actually works, giving the characters a MacGuffin to chase after when Sonic loses his rings, and also giving the rings from the video games an actual purpose while still drawing a parallel to their use in the game. After all, while Sonic has the rings, he is relatively secure, but without them becomes vulnerable. In fact, the film itself is chock full of these little nods and Easter eggs to the games themselves, while also quietly and sneakily setting up the large mythos of the series and creating a springboard to a larger film franchise. Honestly, that would be my biggest gripe with the film in general, is that it almost plays it too safe, testing the waters for a full-fledged film about Sonic and the world he inhabits, rather than just diving in and delivering us a full-fledged adaptation of those ideas outright. Luckily, the film pays off, but it's a shame they didn't have enough faith in it to go all in from the start. While the film's play-it-safe attitude is my biggest gripe, it's not the only one. The movie still suffers from some clunky dialogue and childish writing at times that hold it back. And because it plays it so safe, there isn't a lot of depth to the story or most of the characters. Luckily, however, the characters are exceptionally likable and appealing. While there are plenty of instances of poor writing, there are arguably more instances of smart writing and witty dialogue. The humor, unlike the story, is very intelligent, and Sonic's characterization is spot on from all of his other appearances across varying mediums. I laughed way more than I ever expected during the course of this film, with Marsden offering up the perfect straight man for Sonic's antics and Jim Carrey's deliciously fiendish and zany villain. Carrey is in top form, giving us a Robotnik that, while not as spot on as Sonic's characterization, does become the character we are familiar with by film's end. It's a natural evolution that is also played a bit too safe, but also makes more sense to play safe as Robotnik begins as a regular human from Earth. What we are left with is a perfectly solid family film that doesn't quite hold the weight that better films in its genre do, but satisfies while setting itself up for a bright future. It would seem that Paramount's gamble ultimately paid off, giving them what could be a profitable franchise if moving forward they catered to fans and story as much as they did in visual effects. I give Sonic the Hedgehog 3 out of 4 stars. Well, there you have it.
3 out of 4 stars for
Grace.
Sonic?
3, actually, yes.
Wow.
I was not expecting to walk away from the movie with a higher rating than I gave Birds of Prey.
Oh, wow. That's true.
That's true. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said in my review, the trailer, like even after they fixed the way Sonic looked, because obviously that was a huge controversy, the trailer still didn't convince me. I just thought it looked like another terrible movie adapted from a video game, but it really was funny. Like I said, I mean, it has its flaws. It still has some childish writing and some clunky dialogue, but ultimately, I mean, the comedy is very witty and smart. The mythos from Sonic are hinted at and built upon, even though they don't really dove into, but they're there, and that was my biggest gripe, is that it's like they were preparing you for a Sonic movie with this movie, but it's not really quite there yet.
That was my honestly, that's my biggest question, because here's the thing. Almost a year ago, a trailer drops, more than a year ago, and it's the first time we see a look at Sonic.
Yes.
And obviously everybody blows up on the internet, talks about how terrible it is, and makes fun of the film. We see Jim Carrey in the first trailer, and it's like, Dr. Robotnik's fat.
Yeah.
He's not anything near fat. Plus, he doesn't look or act anything. I mean, look, I know Dr. Robotnik has changed forms and iterations over the years. Or his voice and his attitude has. But still, it's like Jim Carrey's zaniness. It was all questionable, and we were all doubting it. Let's just be honest. So 3 out of 4 stars is
very impressive.
Absolutely spectacular.
It's very impressive for this film. Yeah. Jim Carrey's hilarious. He's not fully the Robotnik you know from the games until his very last scene. Like, don't go in expecting, he's going to gradually transition. It's not it's not really a gradual transition either. It literally takes till his final scene in the movie for him to emerge as the Robotnik
and it is
you know.
kind of a mid-credit almost kind of scene, too.
Well, there is a mid-credit scene, but it's not that scene.
Not that scene.
Yeah. But it is, like, right at the very, like, last thing of the movie. But, yeah, he in fact, while he was funny throughout the movie, his stint as like full-on Robotnik, I think, was the most hilarious thing he did in the entire film. And it so much so that I'm like, man, I can't wait. I want to see a second movie with him as Robotnik, because now I believe he could do the part. It just kind of stunk that it took till the very end of the movie to see him finally. But like I said, it kind of made sense, because being that they're
like
on Earth,
this is an origin film.
He has to be.
So we're getting there.
He has to be this genius that the military goes to solve problems. So obviously, if he's full on crazy genius at the beginning of the film, it's like, why would the military turn to him at all? So I kind of got it. It's like they tried to keep him a little bit more grounded, and then finally, when he goes over the edge, is when he gets to be Robotnik. So it's like, it just stinks that it's like, you have to use this whole movie as a setup because you're too afraid to go all in from the start.
Yeah. Sean, why don't you expand? Because I know that you also saw this.
I also gave it 3
taking
stars.
Your kid, too.
I also gave it 3 stars. It was a much more entertaining film than some of the earlier films. And I know, like last week, I was kind of the odd man out when it came to Birds of Prey, but this movie entertained me far more than that. Held my attention far more, and the jokes and the comedy and stuff just really got me. It was a joy to see Jim Carrey be Jim Carrey again. The Jim Carrey that we know from Ace Ventura and The Mask and The Cable Guy and all these other movies. Like, that's the Jim Carrey. Now, he's done some other work where he's tried to play some serious roles. And
I mean, they've
been very good. Yeah, I mean, Eternal Sunshine and the number 23 was just a dark, twisted.
Yeah,
he did that well too. But this is what he does best. And to see him come back and do this kind of just craziness again.
Being himself again.
Oh, yeah, it was a joy. But he wasn't even really the star of the movie. Obviously, Sonic was.
Is, yeah.
And they did the Sonic so well. I mean, I am glad for the change in appearance, because they do make it look a lot more like the video game. even though for the most part through the video games you only see him in 2 dimensions. You only see him
Well,
from the side.
in the
but
early
still,
games.
In the
You
early
gotta
games.
remember-
now it's all
Yeah,
3D.
now they have
so now
3D.
you see
There's later,
everybody,
he does look
But-
like he does in the cartoons
Yeah.
and in the and that's actually was what I love most
Yes.
was that I'm glad they fixed it.
Yes.
Because his characterization and even his voice acting, which is Ben
Matches,
Schwartz,
yeah.
because Ben Schwartz doesn't do him in the video games. That's the actor from he's in Parks and Rec and he's been
Yeah.
in some other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so it was impressive to see him nail the voice, and it was impressive that the characterization was spot on. He acts and feels like the Sonic you see from all these other media. So it's like if they had gone with that original design, I would have been distracted the whole time by how bad he looks. But
Yeah.
the fact that they fixed it and he looks like Sonic, acts like Sonic, sounds like Sonic, I was like, this is Sonic. I'm watching a movie about Sonic.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's still the biggest. It's hard to fathom with a 3 out of 4 star rating.
yeah.
and to still see, I picture nothing but like a '90s hokey, terrible like Power Rangers and
we went into
these
the
other
movie
video
kind of
game
thinking that. I mean,
movies.
I got out in
Yeah.
the parking lot and I told Keith, I said, I went in there to laugh at this movie, but I came out like laughing with it because it really did capture like the comedic essence. It was great for adults, by the way. If you got children and you're wanting to take them, there's adult humor in there that you'll get that your kids probably won't get. But then there's just
is it almost like a Pixar film in that sense where it has?
I mean,
I really
it's not
compare
tongue
it
in
to-
cheek.
I
or-
compare it to Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
anything.
compare it to Detective Pikachu. Actually, I was more entertained by this than Detective Pikachu.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
Though
can see that.
I would say
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu is a
It's a
better
better
film,
film?
Yeah,
but this
all the
one
way around,
was more entertaining. I mean, Sonic was hilarious. In fact, I mean, a good comparison. I mean, if the scene from X-Men: Days of Future Past with Quicksilver, like the slow time when like he's sped up and everything's slow around him.
Yeah.
A lot of the gags and stuff with Sonic are like that, but more like they were creative in the first one, and then when they brought Quicksilver back for Apocalypse, it was terrible. It was just the
Yeah.
same stunt. Sonic has a lot of stuff like that, but they're creative every time, and I love that. I love the fact that they were able to do stuff like that, showing off his speed and be unique and funny. And I mean, there's a scene where this crazy man like in town no one believes that this crazy man's trying to tell them there's this blue devil living in the woods, and no one believes him. And there's this whole scene where he's running through his yard like setting off these bear traps, and the guy's like, I know you're out there, I know you're real, and then you just hear from the woods, no, I'm not. And I started dying laughing. I mean, it was just well done. It was.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that, I
Good.
mean, it's also got this great message to it about friendship and about. I mean, they really dug deep and actually put a good, heartfelt story in there too, much like Detective Pikachu between the father and the son thing. And but they did this great thing with him and the Marsden. What's his name?
James Marsden.
James
Yeah.
Marsden.
Yeah.
And I mean, he does a great job playing, this, a human that's interacting.
He's just
with
supposed to
the
be the straight man.
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
every
it's
comedy
just
has
very,
a straight man.
but their connection and their bond grows throughout the film to the point where they become, really good friends, almost inseparable.
It's like a
and
buddy
it's-
road trip movie, which is
Yes.
really weird.
Yes.
But it's done
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It is odd because that's not what you imagine with Sonic. But again, it's kind of setting up, who Sonic's going to be and who
Yeah.
Robotnik's going to be
Yeah.
and the larger world. Because like with the thing with the rings, like I said in my review, is their purpose is like they can transport anybody anywhere they want to go. So you actually get to see different zones from the games. Like Sonic on Earth lands into
See, that's what's crazy.
he lands into like Green Hills. I forget the state they're in, but I was like, that's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, Green
okay.
Hills.
'cause,
Yeah.
yeah.
But then like there's the mushroom zone from the
So you get the
game,
nods.
and you
Yep.
get all these little things.
I was wondering, is there any? Because I didn't listen to too much of the soundtrack when I was putting together the review.
Oh, yeah,
Is
no,
there,
they
are
have-
there any themes
yes.
or nods to the?
There
Okay.
are some of the music
'Cause
is
it's like-
from the game.
That is the one reason why it was even intriguing at 1st was,
Mhm.
which for one, not only has it gotten a better score than Birds of Prey, it ended up beating out Birds of Prey in the box office.
It's actually on
Um,
track to become the highest grossing
grossing
video
video
game
game.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's already at 70 million.
It's already made
out
a
of the
fourth
gate.
of what because
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu is second and Warcraft is first in the highest grossing video games, and they only have 400 million, like 450 million worldwide.
Yeah.
This has already made 111 million,
its
so
first
it's made a
weekend.
quarter.
That's crazy.
It's made a
Yeah.
quarter of those movies in its first weekend. So that's maybe that's awesome.
And I will say, almost kind of what it had going for it, just like Detective Pikachu, was even if it was bad, you still have the family-friendly
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
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 image. And so, all in all, it's like all you needed was it to be a decent film.
And I think the good
so
word
that
of
people
mouth
could
yeah.
recommend
Yeah.
it. And so I think now that you're seeing the positive reviews from moviegoers and critics alike, plus the family-friendly message, you're ending up with a certified hit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising. It really is.
And it's one of those things like if you watch, you pay like there's a Easter egg, like Robotnik's looking through his plan of things he's building, and there's this thing called Badniks, which is of course what the villains in the games are called. So that was cool.
Yep.
The world map that Sonic has little Easter eggs to the Chaos Emeralds, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
They have setups for Knuckles and Tails, like at the beginning of the
I
film.
was gonna ask, and
So,
I didn't want to be
I'm not gonna
spoiled,
spoil
but I was
anything.
wondering
Yeah.
if Tails or any of those others make an
I
appearance.
can't say,
but
they definitely put enough info in there that they don't elaborate on, but you
Yeah.
can tell is a setup for larger things. And I mean, there is even the mid-credit scene is a bigger introduction,
bigger reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I won't
even
spoil
like,
that.
Even like Keith said, it was almost like they didn't want to go full in on a Sonic world and everything. But even at the beginning of the film, it opens in his homeland.
Yes.
And it's awesome because, the mountains aren't mountains; they're loop-de-loops.
Yeah.
And it shows him,
when he
running,
runs, they crumple
he's
like in the
running
games.
and they fall apart. Yeah, it is very. It's awesome that if they go back to that place for a future film,
Yeah.
I think people will be more like they'll go along with that a little bit easier now that we know who he is and that he's interacted with people and but just showing a glimpse of that world, like it brought me back to my Sega Genesis,
your childhood.
Yeah,
the
my
Genesis
Game Gear,
does with Nintendo.
One thing I really appreciated, because in America he's called Robotnik, but he was always referred to as Eggman in Japan, and that has transferred over a little bit now in the newer games and stuff with Sonic. They refer to him as Eggman, but his name is Robotnik in the movie, but then towards the end of the film, like Sonic, because of like the designs of his machines are like egg shaped.
Call him Eggman.
He starts like jokingly like just calling him
Eggman,
and I was like, I really like that the fact that they still integrated that as kind of a
again, what it comes down to is a decent plot and story.
Yeah.
But with these Easter eggs and obviously the nostalgia built into the movie.
Yeah.
To help people kind of who are fans of the game, but also newcomers alike to say, okay, I'm not just enjoying a kid's film. I can actually get into this.
Yep.
So it has a little bit of flavor for everybody.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why it's warranted to go see
it's
it.
well done. Like I said, my biggest gripe is that I just felt like they played it too safe because they weren't really sure, It almost reminds me, better done, by the way, but I will compare it to the first Transformers in that there's enough there that you get the sense and the setup that you're like, okay, going forward, we can get something really great. But the problem with Transformers was Michael Bay decided to double down on on the fart jokes and the explosions rather than the Transformers themselves. So if Paramount actually doubles down on what makes Sonic great and not the stuff that this movie did poorly on, it'll be a great franchise. But we just have to see where they go.
Well, that's always the question.
Yeah.
That's always the question with any new franchises. It can either go up or go down.
And that's the thing.
And typically the trend is once it takes that turn towards the worse, it doesn't really get better. I mean, that's
if they keep
problem.
making more of the same, if they keep making more sequels that are pretty much like this movie, then no, I'm not going to care about the franchise because it's going to get dull quick. But if now that they have hinted at a larger world, if they follow through with that, I think it'll be really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, good deal. So 3.5.
No, 3.
Sorry.
Someone's getting a little overexcited.
Getting carried away.
Wasn't that good?
You might go
Wasn't
3.5.
that good?
I may give it 3.5 because it may just, remind me of my childhood that much. So
Yeah.
3 out of 4 stars for Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess we're ready to move on to our headlines this week.
I guess.
Guys.
Oh, I'm smacking my mic around.
Oh, no, he's just smacking everybody around. Oh, my
It's
gosh.
like an earthquake.
Oh,
Someone's going to get motion sickness
I'm
watching
about
this.
to, just watching it. No, Oscars are over for another year.
Are they?
That was last week, I know.
Do they
we
have
talked
to
about
be?
our results. Well,
Can we
Sonic,
just keep Oscars in our heart?
do you think
all
Sonic's
year
going to get
round?
nominated?
No.
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 But instead, what we want to do now is look forward. Just like our new day of the week that we air live on Facebook. And
Always
YouTube.
forward, never back.
And just like our new website. I want to look forward.
That's a movie quote, but I actually can't remember where it came from.
Sean's just laughing over
I
there.
just thought it was funny. It's just out of left field. I
Always
don't know.
forward, never back. I can't for the life of me think of where that came from, but I know I saw it in a movie or a show.
Brokeback Mountain.
No.
Yeah. Always forward, never back.
See, I'm going to have to Google it now. Or maybe somebody can leave it in the
I
comments.
think that one would be the other way around. But
Oh.
all right, we're talking about movies coming in 2020. What's coming out this year that everybody is looking forward to see? That's right. We've got a ton of movies coming out.
I remember now. I saw it in Luke
What?
Cage on Netflix.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's the beauty of Google, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just,
Actually, I remembered it before I Googled it.
oh,
So
well, cool, awesome on you. So have at it, guys. What movies are coming out that we're all looking forward to this
The
year.
Call of the Wild.
Yeah, that's next
Not
week.
really.
Yeah, I think it's going
Would
to
you
be.
rather go see that or Sonic again?
I'm gonna see Sonic again.
Here's the
All
thing.
right, well,
I really think Call of the Wild's just going to be just like Sonic. It just looks terrible, but it's going to end up being really
no,
No.
no,
No.
there's no way.
That one's going to be bad.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But we've got tons. We got Onward coming out.
Onward.
Soul. Both
So-
of those Pixar movies. I think Soul's going to end up having it.
I want to
over
see
Onward.
Onward just because it's Pixar, but I don't think it looks like it's going to be like as good as their best films, definitely. But Soul, I think, looks fantastic.
I completely agree.
Um,
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die,
We've got that
absolutely.
Billie Eilish, her new song for the theme
Mhm.
of No Time to Die just dropped this
You see
past
where
week.
she was actually sick during the
Um,
Oscars, and she felt like she bombed singing yesterday. She was sick the whole time,
Really?
and she said she felt like her.
Oh, so she could have done better.
That's what
I'm
she
just
thinks. She thinks she thinks that her performance of that song was terrible, and it's like,
No, I
no,
don't
it
think
was
so.
good because
I
but,
thought it
you
was
know,
fantastic. I
We
thought
got
she
the
did an
Invisible
amazing
Man
job.
coming out, too.
Invisible Man, I'm
Yeah,
interested
with,
in.
Elizabeth
That comes out
Moss.
soon. That
Black
comes out
Widow, I'm excited about Black Widow. I feel like there's another Marvel movie this year, but maybe there's not.
Oh,
Is Eternals this year?
A
No,
Quiet
I don't
Place
think
2.
so.
Quiet Place
Quiet
2.
Place 2 looks good.
Mulan.
Mulan looks
These
good.
are March. All
Now,
these are
The
March.
Hunt is coming out in March. That was a movie that
Yes.
was previously canceled last year.
They said it
And-
wasn't.
Well, they
It
said
was.
it wasn't.
It
but
was.
It was. But yeah, Mulan. I can't wait to see that one. I mean, what would you all say that was your most
Ghostbusters.
anticipated?
That
Ghostbusters
one might be it.
I think mine is I'm gonna stick with Christopher Nolan. I'm gonna go with Tenet.
Tenet. Okay.
Tenet's a good one.
Tenet is by far the one that
I'm
I
pretty
keep
excited
seeing.
about Top Gun too.
Yeah,
Top Gun.
Maverick.
Honestly, and
Spiral looks
even
good.
though Godzilla King of the Monsters wasn't fantastic, it scratched that giant monsters fighting each other itch. So I'm actually really excited about Godzilla versus Kong.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
promising to not just have them two, but also have other monsters from those movies in there too. So I'm really looking forward because it could have a terrible story, but I mean, watching them beat each other up and destroy cities, I'm down for.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. I mean, who's not? And again, if it doesn't have the same hokey feel that what was that one? The last one you all went and saw, which
It
it was
Godzilla,
awesome.
King of the
yeah,
Monsters.
King
Yeah,
of the
King of the
Monsters.
Monsters.
I mean,
But it was
the story and acting
Yeah.
and stuff wasn't great, but the
Yeah.
action was amazing. Wonder Woman,
Oh, yeah.
1984. I'm
yeah,
looking
Yes,
forward to
yeah,
that.
yes.
really looking
Yep.
forward to that one.
What else we got here?
I'm actually, y'all are gonna make fun of me, but I am looking forward to In the Heights. And
No, I actually
it's
am
Lin-Manuel
interested.
Manuel Miranda's Broadway
am-
musical.
I'm intrigued by that.
And I think it looks okay. And there were some small performances that were made at the Oscars for it.
The Dune remake's supposed to come out this
Oh,
year.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm very
I forgot about
excited
that.
about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see.
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted. They actually
Oh,
just
of
announced its
course.
running time of 78 minutes, which people are like, "Wow, that's really short." It's like, well, the other movies were only like 80 and 90
Yeah.
minutes. So
well, and not only
none
that,
of them have
nobody
been very
can take
long.
2 hours of that.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, sometimes like less is more.
Yeah,
And the fact is you think of like Cloverfield
yeah.
and all of those movies, those found footage movies.
Yeah.
The original Cloverfield was short, but it was sweet.
Bill
It
and
was
Ted
good.
doesn't need to be that
No,
long.
it
So,
So I think that was perfect.
oh, Peter Rabbit 2 comes out. We just saw the trailer for
Yeah,
that.
we did.
It looked awful. It looked terrible.
The King's Man is
The
coming
King's
out.
Man.
Kingsman.
That one looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's so many.
For me,
guys.
like I wasn't sure, but now I'm really curious. Now that they're like actually making links to Spider-Man in the MCU, like Morbius, the fact that the Vulture popped up in that trailer and that they have like where is Spider-Man because he's on the run from. So the fact that like Marvel and Sony have, even though they haven't announced it, there's some kind of deal going on
Right.
because now we're seeing the MCU stuff pop up in Sony's films like
Right.
Morbius and Venom 2 that
Yeah.
are hinting at there might be something in there. So
Well,
it'd
and
be
I
interesting.
actually watched a recent. It was an executive interview. Anybody can check it
Mhm.
out on YouTube on Hollywood Reporter,
Mhm.
and they had a roundtable with all of these chairmen and or executives or chief creative officers,
yeah.
and from all the big studios. And there was actually the guy asked them about the whole fallout with Spider-Man and the Marvel
Oh, yeah?
MCU, and both Disney and Sony were kind of willing to say, look, it was much more of a business decision that was made at the time, but
Mhm.
obviously the news got ahead of the business decision.
Yeah.
We both felt like it was going to work its way towards a positive
resolution.
resolution in the beginning. It just, the news got out before anybody else could, deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, and that I completely understand that. So it is nice to see them going the extra mile apart from just talking about Spider-Man, where we were worried that we were going to lose all of the connections to the MCU
Yeah.
from Sony.
Yeah.
But now I think we're okay. I think we're in the positive
is-
light.
It
and
is
I think we're going to see
very
a lot
intriguing.
more.
In fact, I'm actually looking forward to Venom 2. Venom 1 was mediocre, but Andy Serkis is directing the second one. Woody Harrelson's playing Cletus Cassidy, a.k.a. Carnage. So I'm intrigued. It's like, could they come back and make something better than what we got with the
True.
first
Yeah.
one, especially with Serkis involved, though his track record was that Jungle Book movie on Netflix, so
yeah.
maybe not.
Mowgli.
He is a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Here's
Let's
another
see.
fantastic one that I'm really looking forward to.
Uh-oh.
Since it's remake and, reboot, I would say. Not
Reboot.
remake. The reboot 2 years ago now, but Halloween Kills.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Coming
yes.
out in October.
Yeah, no,
really
I am
looking forward to that.
I agree with
Eternals
that.
comes out in November.
I
It
knew-
is Eternals. Okay,
I knew there
my
was
bad,
more
yeah.
than one Marvel movie, yeah. So, I mean, I'm intrigued by that one. I can't say I'm hyped for it yet, but I am intrigued by it.
Well, and you've also got, come on, Clifford,
G.I. Joe
the
3.
big red dog. is
Clifford,
coming.
yeah.
I'm telling you.
I think
That
the
one
G.I.
was
Joe
good.
movie is supposed to be a reboot as well.
Well, then why are they calling it G.I. Joe 3?
I think that's just
Oh.
the acting title for right now. I don't think
G.I.
they've
Joe
actually.
3, Ever Vigilant is the title.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is. It's a
Interesting.
continuation.
Interesting.
Honestly, Coming to America.
Coming to America 2.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
That one looks
Excited about
wild.
that.
Oh, and of course Steven Spielberg's West Side Story remake.
Yeah, I don't think
Not-
that's a movie that needs a
It's
remake.
not.
So I don't.
Nope.
I,
Like, why?
honestly, of all of these,
I
though,
feel like if your movie won Best Picture at the
It's-
Oscars, they
yeah.
probably don't. Well, Titanic could have a remake and it'd be fine, but
Yeah,
but still,
agreed.
Well,
most
they remade
mo-
Ben-Hur too, and that was
most Oscar-winning movies probably don't need to be remade. But
Yeah.
I digress.
I would say that still, out of all of the ones that we just talked about, Tenet is still my
Your
go-to.
biggest one.
That's
Okay.
the biggest one that I'm really
Okay.
looking forward to. I think it comes out in July. I may be wrong on that, but
I am
obviously
I'm very
looking
much
July.
looking forward to Tenet.
for the IMAX release, obviously. But Christopher Nolan has yet to disappoint with any of his movies.
Oh, the
So I'm really looking
Spiral from the Book
Yeah.
of Saw. I am looking forward to that. I'm intrigued to see what Chris Rock.
What is your
Oh,
most,
yeah.
most
Samuel Jackson
anticipated,
do.
though?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's kind of like I have one until it's passed, and then it's on to
then
the
there's
next.
another one.
Because I mean, I'm really anticipating Black Widow right now, and it's not that I don't anticipate Tenet, but that's the one I'm kind of looking forward to most right now. And then when it's done,
Right.
it'll probably
But
be Tenet.
but come on, that's a cop out. That's a cop out. I want to say of the whole year, of all the movies,
entire
What
that
I've
came out.
seen
year.
on the list so far, I'm still sticking with Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Okay, and that's fair. I would actually.
Actually, I was going to say either that one or Soul. If Soul moves
Yeah.
me in the way that Inside Out did, then I'm all in.
well,
for
and
it,
if it looks as good as half as good as the trailer,
yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
if it's as good as
It's
gonna
been a
be
while
fantastic.
since a movie made me cry, and Pixar can do that sometimes. So I that's what I want. I like it when movies make me cry.
Well, but
Actually, the last one that made me cry was Jojo Rabbit.
well,
That had me in tears twice.
Oh, I forgot. I did cry during
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit.
I cried
so
during
I
1917.
did. I did not cry during 1917.
didn't.
I did with the kid. Like I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
Otherwise
no,
they're
okay. The
But that
yeah,
was-
the,
it's
got
tough.
me.
the
It's
end
tough.
scene. I didn't cry during, but I did cry. I think like when
At
they're
the end?
singing in the woods and stuff. Yeah, that I teared up. I won't say like they shed tears. Actually
They
shed.
Oh,
and-
okay. Oh, wait.
during
Are
the-
we talking like shed? Because I'm saying watery.
No,
eyes.
I had
No,
to-
no,
I had to
no.
wipe tears
Okay.
No.
away.
I'm thinking watery eyes.
There's plenty of
Oh.
movies that'll give me watery eyes. I want a movie that'll make me weep.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
been a while.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
what
if
I'm
I can
saying.
say
Yeah.
what the last one that did that is.
No, we were like sitting at home
Ooh.
watching Jojo Rabbit, and and it got to the part where it shows her feet, dangling,
Mm-hmm.
and I just went. I was like, oh God. And Amelia goes, what? And I was like,
she's a
she
bigger
had no
man
idea,
than
and I was
you.
like, that's his mom, and she was just like, oh. Then I heard her sniffle up a little bit, but I was bawling, dude.
Man.
Every time I watch it, it gets me.
I think the Jungle Cruise will make me weep.
Yeah.
'Cause
It
of how
will.
bad it is.
For how bad it is. I ain't gonna lie, I am looking forward to it. Hopefully, I mean, Dwayne Johnson's been on this kick now. I mean, he's had freaking Jumanji,
Yeah.
but he's also been like big action star. I mean, look, he knows what he does
Oh,
best.
he makes entertaining films.
and he
no
is
doubt.
entertaining, and he's a good actor. He's funny, so I can't knock him for that. But I'm hoping Jungle Cruise ends up being something a little bit better than just. Yeah, I mean, come on. The last flick we got of a Disney ride was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter
That wasn't the
is-
last one. That's the last memorable one.
Oh, what was the last
We had
one?
Tomorrowland.
Oh, yeah,
we
that's
also
right.
had the Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
Yeah,
Never
see,
mind.
we had bad ones.
No,
Yeah, but
wait a
we
second.
Forget about those. though.
Technically, you could say Pirates because
Well, that's the last
the
pirate.
last
yeah.
Pirates
Pirates
movie.
That's
that came out.
true.
So if
That's
they're looking
true.
for another series to drive into the ground, I don't know if that'll be Jungle Cruise or not, but we'll see.
We'll have
Maybe
to
it'll turn
see.
out
Yep.
to be the same impression that I had about Sonic.
I have a feeling
could
that
be a
like
good movie.
Jungle Cruise is gonna feel like a Jumanji knockoff because The Rock's already gonna be in it. They're gonna be in the jungle. I'm like, I don't know. We don't know yet, but
We
I
don't know.
just
Yeah.
There's got to be
I don't trust.
something.
I trust Disney with some things,
Yeah.
but stuff like that I
Now,
don't.
what did you? We sat in during Sonic. We watched the trailer for the Jeremy Camp movie. So would you go see that?
Actually, I
gosh.
would go
what
see
was
that.
it again? What's the Jeremy
I
Camp?
still
movie?
believe.
It actually.
no. I won't.
It
go see
actually
it.
no, it actually doesn't look bad. The
It
trailer
doesn't.
looked much better than I can only imagine. So
Well, and that's the only reason why. Just those movies.
they tend to be bad. I agree.
They're very bad.
But this one actually had me intrigued, so I was like, I might. I don't know.
Mhm.
Who's in it? Do they have any?
Jeremy Camp, no.
I was gonna say it
Well,
wouldn't surprise me.
the girl is famous. I don't know about the dude. Hang on, I'm trying to find it.
I'm just wondering. I don't know. I would say Ghostbusters Afterlife is a close
Melissa
second for me.
Roxburgh.
After 10.
Definitely Ghostbusters Afterlife. I mean, there are other ones.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited about the
Who
Green
is it?
Knight.
Melissa
McCarthy.
Roxburgh.
Etheridge.
No, not
Rox,
her.
Roxburgh.
I
don't
don't know. You'd
know
have to
her.
look her up. She's.
I don't
famous. She's
know.
been in a bunch
Okay,
of
here's the
stuff.
thing. I don't know
She
any.
was actually in Tomorrowland, I think.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer. I didn't know any of the actors in it. Is all I could say. They were none
Really?
of them
When
were
does
familiar
it
to me.
come
Oh
out?
no, that's
I'll
not
say
true.
The girl is
Gary
in Under
Sinise-
the Dome.
I don't know
and
her at
You
all.
never watched Under the Dome?
Nope.
Man,
Nope.
That's Stephen King, man. I thought
Yeah.
you would have watched that.
It depends because that's a really good book, and I
Yeah,
heard things that they did to the series, and I was just
Who
like,
else did
I
you
don't
say
know.
was in it?
Gary Sinise.
Gary Sinise.
I did
was in it.
recognize
Oh,
Gary
yeah.
Sinise,
Okay.
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah,
but
of
But no,
course.
it's the
Yeah.
story of Jeremy King. He's like a Christian musician. His wife
Yeah.
died when she was like 27.
Yeah,
Right. And then
And
it's
it's tragic. Maybe this will be
It's
the
just
movie
like
that makes
that's
me
what,
weep.
That's what spurred his career on.
Yeah.
And dealing
Gotcha.
with death.
Yeah.
When does it come out?
He piggybacked off her death. No.
Yeah.
That's a terrible thing to say. I'm
March
sorry.
20th.
March 20th.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's soon.
Yeah.
It's either going to between that or The Hunt.
Mm.
I may go
See,
see.
I don't even see The
I'll
Hunt
probably
on
see The
here.
Hunt.
The Hunt's on there. Yeah, it's on there. It comes out in March.
I see it on this list.
I don't think it'll be that good, but
I wanna
I'll go
see it.
see it.
Oh,
Hey,
I definitely.
hey, I'll
Just
see
because it
it.
had all that controversy surrounding
But like I
it.
was saying, the Green Knight. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for that yet. They just released it. I'm really excited about that. It deals with Arthurian legend, and the reason I'm familiar with that story at all is because J.R.R. Tolkien had done a translation of it, and there's a novel that he released of his translation of the original poem. So it
Oh.
is a really cool story, and I'm intrigued by the film. It actually looks good. It doesn't look like the generic King Arthur type movies that we've been getting lately.
Yeah. Did you mention the New Mutants? That comes out in April.
I will go see that. I don't.
I'm not looking forward to
It's
it,
one of those things. It's
but
the last Fox X-Men film,
Mm-hmm.
and my thing is like, we already know Marvel's not going that route anymore, so it's kind of like just the last holdover. They're releasing it, and then that's
but
it.
from what I've heard, and with the re-edits,
Maybe
they talked about it being something that's they've kind of went back to the original vision
Mm-hmm.
that
yeah, the
and
director.
that the director had. So I have hopes that it'll at least be good.
Apparently,
I think
he
after
made the movie.
disaster,
Yeah, he made the movie one way. Fox made him change it, and then when Disney bought Fox, they let him go back and fix it and make it the way he
Well,
wanted.
I think
Oh,
when
yeah,
they
there
saw
we
the
go.
disaster
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix, they were like, yeah.
Disney was like, "Do
Yeah.
what you want
Yeah.
to, man. You can't make
Yeah.
anything worse than that."
Well, Legally Blonde 3 is coming out.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm actually.
And
I-
Barbie. The Barbie
yeah, I don't
movie.
care about that. I
I'm
know you
telling you,
guys aren't. You don't
Legally
watch
Blonde
the show.
3, I think will be funny because I
Maybe.
like the first one.
I did
but-
like the first one, but we got it. It just depends. I'm a fan of Bob's Burgers, and they're actually making a Bob's Burger movie that comes out this year, so I am excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Those
um,
always terrify me though. I'm like,
The Simpsons movie was good,
I know,
and
but
the South Park movie
it
was.
took 20 freaking years for the Simpsons.
Well, it
movie.
didn't take that long
So
for
I
Bob's
know,
Burgers.
and that's why I'm worried
Uh,
about it. I'm like,
the-
any of those just seem
The
like
South
a
Park
gimmick to
movie
me.
came out after its second season. They
Well,
jumped right into that one,
But,
so
yeah, but that's South Park.
and it was critically.
They have a different.
It was critically acclaimed and hated at the same time because it's South Park. So.
Exactly. That's why they could do that. I mean,
Oh.
and that's why it only took them 2 seasons because they were
Does,
like, you better get this out now.
Does Wes Anderson have anything coming out this year?
Well, he is working
Mm-hmm.
on the trailer for his newest movie
even-
just came out. The French
The Frenchman.
No, it's not the French.
It's like the French Connection, but it's something.
Or the
it's
French Dispatch. I
Dispatch?
can't remember. Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot.
I
What
have
is it?
not seen it. I didn't even know he was.
I'm looking.
I'm just like, I need another Wes Anderson.
Oh, it
movie.
is the French Dispatch.
The
I
French
was right.
Dispatch. Okay,
Ha!
I'm gonna have
See,
to watch it later.
I got it right.
Good job, you.
It comes out in 2020. I don't know when.
I'll watch
though.
anything Wes Anderson releases.
It says right here, July 24th.
Oh.
So right after Tenet, I'll go see this French
I
Dispatch.
was say if Wes Anderson
Oh,
makes a
okay.
film, I'm watching
I
it.
see it
Exactly.
now.
I agree. So, and then of course, I was talking about it before. I think while we were in the middle of the review, but I'm not
Where are
sure
you now?
if Baz Luhrmann's Elvis biopic
I
is
didn't
coming out.
I
this
didn't see
year.
it in this list, but
It
I'm gonna
started
Google
filming. It's starting to film here early 2020. So like right now or
Oh,
March.
so it'd have
is
to
when
be
it
the end of
begins.
the year. If
So it would have to be, and I think that may be cutting it too close. But I'm worried because if it pushes it to like
January or February.
January or February, I'm like, that may not be a good sign. But then again, who knows? Movies are
Yeah.
coming out more and more now at the beginning of the year that are still worth watching. And they may not pick it necessarily
I
for
am-
awards
I was say-
season. They may pick it for box
I
office.
say
Yeah.
IMDb has it
So-
listed for 2021, so
Oh.
we'll see.
Mm. And
Um,
they may be just shooting it now. They may hold over, have
Well,
a
it depends
long
on how long.
post production period.
It
and
says
they may not have
expected
it.
October 1st, 2021.
Oh, so it may end up being a
Uh,
late end of
here's
the
the
year
thing.
Oscar
I
run
love
for next
Elvis
year.
Presley, and Baz Luhrmann's made some great movies, so it would be interesting to see what he does with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
all right, guys. I think that about wraps it up. That's what we're looking forward to this year.
There's going to be some good
Got some
movies.
great
There's
movies
going to be
coming
some
up.
bad movies.
Yep.
We all know that,
Yeah.
and we're definitely gonna have all the reviews of every good and every bad movie.
I'm still waiting for The Martian too. Like,
Yeah,
when's that's
yeah.
gonna happen?
Well, he died.
I noticed that there's been no Transformers movies in the works since Bumblebee. That was a good one though.
That was a good one.
Yep.
So for
So-
them to end on a high note, may be the best.
From my understanding, they're planning on like basically
following up,
rebooting off
Oh,
of
I
that
bet.
movie.
Yeah.
I
Instead
would
of
hope.
following Michael Bay, they're going to reboot it, but use use
Yes.
Bumblebee as a start. So
and that would be a great springboard.
that would be a good idea.
They
Yeah.
should do that.
Paramount's, they seem
They're
like they're
getting
getting stuff. Good idea for Transformers. They got Sonic now. Maybe Paramount does something good. We'll see.
Well, we'll see on their streaming service.
Yeah.
We got all those coming this year
Yeah.
too.
Oh, gosh.
We got
so
Peacock,
many.
and we got what is Paramount's? I forget what it's called. It just
I
or no,
don't
I think they're
remember.
just doing HBO Max or
No,
who owns
that's
HBO.
HBO Max is. I don't think that's Paramount. That's Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
Warner
and-
Brothers is
Warner
coming
Brothers
out.
streaming
That's right,
service is
they're
going to
coming
be.
out.
It's HBO Max. That's
Yeah, that's
going to
it.
be
Yep.
theirs.
So
Because they're going to integrate, all of Warner
Yeah.
Brothers films and Cartoon Network, which that'll be interesting because that's a good
They've got a
rival for
good-
Disney. The
yeah.
fact that HBO Max will basically a Cartoon Network hub.
Yeah.
and
So,
you got
uh,
HBO content.
Netflix is
Yeah.
gonna be Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
So
It's got
So
there's
they're
some
fighting.
heavy hitters.
they're going to fight.
They're all
out
they're
brawl.
all trying
all
to
out
get us
brawl
to
over the
subscribe.
children's
It used to be,
networks.
break away from
Children's
cable. It'll be
channel.
cheaper. Now it's,
People may be willing to spend that much more on a cable.
Yeah.
You know, more than cable, I should say.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. When you have, here's the
We'll
thing:
see.
is streaming services were to break away from cable, stop pirating. Now it's like you almost have to go back to pirating because there's too many streaming services.
We shall see. All right, guys, I think we're ready to move on to
Yeah.
our relationship segment.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above and a thing called love.
I want to apologize to our
guys.
viewers because we've had
Why?
a very fun and lighthearted show up until now. But what's coming next?
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh
maybe
my
a little,
gosh.
maybe a
Talk
little
about
heavy
weeping.
hitting.
This is going to be very sad and somber.
Indeed.
This was and
It
Keith,
depends.
you were the one that brought this up. weren't
I
you?
thought of it. Yeah. Because
So why don't you describe it?
well, we all
This
have
is-
those.
we were about to bring it down a way.
We are.
way
um,
down. This
Yep.
is terrible.
We all have those in our life we love. We build relationships throughout our life, and then one day we're all doomed to die. So those relationships end.
Yeah.
Gosh sakes, man.
I mean, I like the way you put that.
So-
It was
well,
very callous.
I'm trying to still keep it lighthearted because
this is
eventually,
Tuesday. Okay,
eventually,
Say Monday.
I'm trying to
say,
keep it
that's a
lighthearted because
Monday
eventually we're not
conversation.
going to be lighthearted anymore. But yeah, I mean, what happens when those relationships are gone? How do we deal with
loss?
with the loss of loved
Yeah.
ones? Yeah.
That's right. So wow. Okay.
You weep.
Well, first off, I think why don't you describe exactly how this came to be, the topic, so that it's not so random. And I mean, it's not random
Well, I
anyway.
think we've
like,
all-
you
I
kind of
mean-
described it
Yeah.
just now.
I mean,
but
your aunt passed recently, and then
Right.
my mother's currently going through a longtime friend of hers just passed away. So it's just something that kind of was on my mind in general, is the fact that that's something we have to deal with in
True.
life, is the fact that we do build relationships with each other, friendships, family, the ones we love, and when it's time, it's time. So I mean, how do you deal, and how do they leave an impact on your life? Because I mean, that's I think the biggest part of dealing is knowing that those relationships will be with you always, because they
Right.
do leave such an impression upon you.
Well, and I think that's a good way to sum it up right there. I think ultimately it does come down to how that person impacted your life, and that
Indeed.
becomes the effect they have on it after they're gone. And my Aunt Corrine passed away just recently, and she was definitely someone that it's kind of odd, because I look back at and I don't really want to say this glibly on air, but for instance, just last summer, my Uncle Ronnie passed away, who was married to my Aunt Judy, and my Aunt Judy and Aunt Corrine were very close to me, and they were just very close in general. And I grew up in the church with them, and we all went to the same church. And so it was sad when my Uncle Ronnie passed away, but I didn't see him as much. I wasn't as close to my Uncle Ronnie as I was to my Aunt Corrine and my Aunt
Yeah.
Judy. And so of course, when the news came that my Aunt Corrine was passing away, it was sudden. She was an older woman; she was in her 70s, but she wasn't in any ill shape whatsoever. But it's kind of one of those things where it came. The sickness and the illness came, and then of course it took her very quickly. And so, the suffering wasn't, there was hardly any suffering, but it was definitely traumatizing in the sense that it was unexpected.
Yeah.
And so it definitely is something where over the course of just a few days that you kind of set with it, you start to try to think back on just that person and the impact they had on your life and the times that you did spend with them. And it isn't something that you want to dwell on, but it's in those moments of grief that you have that opportunity, and it's perfectly, acceptable too. It's not like it's never not acceptable, but it's the prime time to do it, because it is kind of just coming over you all at once.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just I remember I went to my Uncle Ronnie's, visitation, but I didn't necessarily go to the funeral.
Yeah.
I had to work that day. And it was one of those situations where I because I wasn't as closely tied to him, I wanted to pay respects to my family and to my Aunt Judy. But, I just wasn't as close to Ronnie. I could have went and it would have been fine. But my Aunt Corrine, I went to the visitation and I went to the funeral. And it's so odd how just even those differences it makes in terms of just visiting with the family and then actually being there on the day of, just the final time that you get to see them. And I don't know, it's a tough, rush, and it's a lot of emotions all at once.
For me, and I know, like I said, because this is a long time, like the idea came from like a longtime friend of my mother's who she hadn't seen in a long time, and then she did see last week, and then found out this week that she had passed, actually today. And it's one of those things that got me thinking about the fact that, like you said, you were close to your aunts growing up, and there's been people I've been close to growing up. But as we get older and we mature and things take precedence in our lives, we don't sometimes see people like that we are or were close to as often or as much. And then it makes it even harder sometimes when somebody that you grew up with or that you have been close with for years that you haven't seen in years, and then you find out they passed, and you get that feeling of remorse and even regret sometimes that, man, I didn't spend as much time with them as I could have, or I wish I had gotten to see them one more time before this happened. So it is always something that's difficult to deal with. I think of past members from when we went to church at Valley Station that I know are gone that, I would have wished I could have been there or seen them before they had passed, and now it's too late. And even family members that, that have moved away or that, you just don't see. And then, it hits you hard because, you wish you had more time, but there's only so much time you get.
Agreed. I agree. Sean, what about you? I know it's kind of hard. It's
I
like
can
we're
see
going
you
around.
over there like
Glib. Yeah. I haven't really suffered through any major losses recently. You know, it's been several years. I had both of my grandfathers went 2 weeks apart. So I lost my dad's dad and my mom's dad like within 2 weeks of each other, and that was rough because my son had just been born, my first son. So trying to get them over to each of those homes so that both men could hold a great grandson, you know, and it's just very difficult. But for me, the way and I'll probably look at it different when it's someone that's when I'm dealing with my parents. Or someone really, really, you know, close that I see every day, it's going to be a lot different. But for me, it all comes down to really like what you believe or don't believe, because I've been to funerals where people are just, you know, completely just crazy over losing this person. But then I've been to funerals of, you know, people who know where their loved one is, and it's not the same way. It's more of a celebration. It's more because they know in their heart where this person lives on, and they know that they're going to see him again someday. Because I have that belief too, the way I view death, no matter how close it is, because when my mom or my dad passes, I have no doubt in my mind that I'll see him again someday.
Right.
And, you know, maybe sooner than later, I don't know. But I'm willing to accept that because I know it and believe it. So it makes it a lot easier. But it doesn't make it any easier when you feel when you get those memories that pop back in and you kind of remember the time here on Earth. And you know, I know my one of my best friends, Nabil, I know where he is right now. He died way too young, but you know, I know that I'll get to see him again someday, even though we kind of parted on, you know, bad terms. And I had to go to his, you know, funeral knowing that we weren't friends at that time.
Wow.
And, you know, so yeah, with Keith talking about regrets, you know, I have a lot of regrets about not trying to get back into his life and make amends or even, and I don't even really feel like I did anything, but I could have went and forgave him in person and said, hey, we need to just, you know, get back together and get our families together and stuff. And it was awkward because of that, but still, yeah, it's like, and maybe that's part of somebody going that young. You know, when you see somebody, you talked about somebody not having to suffer, but, you know, when you watch somebody grow old, or watch somebody in the beginning stages of cancer or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, you see it slowly. You kind of have time to prepare yourself for their loss.
Yeah.
Whereas if it happens suddenly, you've really had no time. It's a shock to the system. You've had no time to really
accept it.
To accept that this is coming. And so yeah, I just think a lot of it really goes back to kind of what your core beliefs are. It determines how you're going to deal with that.
Because I think, you know, even when even when they get older and you anticipate death when you get older, you know, because it's like when you're on that precipice of just getting to a certain age, you almost, you do accept it.
Yeah.
And
it's easier because they've lived, you know, a good
fulfilling
long
life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still those hits of, you know, even, you know, I agree with you in the sense that, you know, even if something, I don't want anybody to suffer, especially a loved one.
Right.
But, you know, when you at least prepare yourself for what you already know is the inevitable, you know, it gives you a little bit more of a sense of understanding that loss and maybe getting that chance to finally say your goodbyes or your sorries, or, you know, at least giving you that one last chance to say goodbye the right way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part with, you know, it's like but I think the problem is a lot of times we anticipate, you know, oh, you get older, but then you get into a routine of life and you get used to, oh, they're always around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes what ends up happening is those things happen and seem so sudden just because, you know, you get used to, you know, them always being there. I mean, I'll be honest with you, now 2 years ago, when you suffered your heart attack, Keith, it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And it hurt me because I'm sitting here and I mean, it was so sudden and it was completely, you know, out of the blue. And it's just, it kind of gave me that first sense of, you know, the youngest memories I have are with us two.
I mean, there's
not anything,
memories
you know, of a
before.
time when we don't know each other.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
it was huge that it was like, it's a great gift to have something like that. And I feel extremely lucky because I know people who don't. And especially, your mom having to face that today with learning of her friend's death. But then I think of, while I am so lucky, it's like how incredible it is to still to be just that shocked when, you are facing that inevitable and what's coming, but you never really want to let it sink in and settle in that's going to be the case, that's ever going to happen.
Yep.
I mean, death is a part of life. We all know it. But still, I mean, it's the great loss that you have in creating friendships and relationships with people. And so it does. I think again, the hurting and the grieving comes down to how that person affected you and how they made you feel in your life and the impact that they had on you. And I think the greater the loss, the greater the grief, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah. Somber.
Okay.
Very somber.
But I think it was good.
It was very good. So, yeah, absolutely. Need that shoulder to cry on, be there for somebody. And if you need to cry, well, then cry.
We often talk about relationships and how different things affect our relationships or the different types of relationships. But, I mean, obviously one of the biggest parts of having any relationships is facing that one day the people you care about will no longer be there. So I just felt it was something we hadn't touched on that would be good to talk about.
Yeah. It's all the more reason that if you have someone in your life that, maybe you've wronged in a way, or maybe they've, you feel like they've wronged you, like, you don't know what tomorrow holds. So try to make that right today and try to
let go of those grudges.
Try to keep that relationship intact as long as you can, so that you don't have the kind of regrets that sometimes you end up with when someone disappears quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yes.
All righty, guys. I think we're done.
Woo.
Done with that topic. That was a very, like you said, Keith. We brought it down.
Heavy,
at the end
heavy
of the
one for heavy one for our first Tuesday show.
Yeah, that's true.
We changed times and we're changing tone. Don't worry, we'll be a little less glib next week.
No doubt. I promise. Next week it'll be back to Vices and.
That'll be fun.
We've got a few actually. We've been raking up a few on Vices.
Yeah, that one's actually one of the easier ones to come up with.
What does that say about us?
Yeah, something pretty bad.
Alrighty, guys. I think that's gonna do it for this first Tuesday episode.
I think it shall.
Huh. But you know what? Still, to remind everybody out there, they could always email us.
Where?
Well, first they could go to our website.
That's
my
awesome.
Oh my gosh!
Forgot about that.
They could go to our website and email us.
And find our email
Find
address?
our email on there.
Man.
Actually,
is there a direct link to our email
I
on
don't
the
know
website?
if it is on there.
Oh no!
Now we have to say it.
Now you gotta fix that.
Yeah.
I do.
But just in case it's not on the website, where can they go?
I don't know, Keith. Why don't you tell them?
Is it down there?
It is.
RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
That's it.
Wow.
Right there. RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Huh.
Holy crap, Sean.
Yeah, I don't
It's
see
right
it on
there.
our website.
Oh man, Sean
So-
was trying to check for us.
Unless it's in social. I don't know.
It should be, but it's probably not. So
Oh,
I'm going to go add
man.
that right after the show.
You better.
So
Well,
email us.
you do have links to our Facebook and
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
and such on there, so that's at
That's
least
nice.
that's good. That's
yeah,
good.
so they can find us on there and,
Heck yeah.
maybe find our email on there
All
too.
right. Maybe.
Okay.
Who knows?
So until next time, guys, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Chitty.
so
I can't say my own name.
Chitty
Keith
bang bang.
Cheatham.
that's all, folks.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.
Show me my